Hello and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I've started playing Fantasy Premier League again this season and I thought, you know what, I'm going to share my altogether terrible thoughts on it and see if I can improve my score from last year, which won't take a lot because I picked a team, forgot I'd picked a team, came back to it after lockdown and made several changes and just about managed to scrape a couple of points together to not finish bottom of my league. So, first I'm going to go through goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, strikers, see where we go with it, and some of the ideas and thoughts that I've done and what's led me to pick the squad that I have. But of course, I still have problems with it. I'm not happy with it. Thankfully, there's still over a week to go, and I should hopefully have a finalised team ready for the start date. So, thank you for joining me, and let's get going. So, let's start with goalkeepers. Now, my choices for this season are Alex McCarthy at Southampton and Martin from Arsenal, I believe. No, West Ham. David Martin at West Ham. He's a placeholder. The only reason I've picked him is he's 4 million. He did actually play some games last season and he picked up points. Therefore, I'm assuming that if West Ham's main goalkeeper is injured, he could be the one that plays the games. So, but I never expect him to do anything this season. Just there because he's 4 million. Why have I gone with Alex McCarthy? Well, a couple of reasons. He only played 28 games last season. That's why his points total is lower. But if you start to look at some of what he does, then points per million spent is actually really quite good. So he averages a clean sheet every 4 games. So he should have played 10 more games last season. Immediately, he should get 2 clean sheets. He would get another 20 points just for appearances for playing those 10 games. So for the clean sheets and appearances, his points total would immediately be 28 points higher, so he would be on 132. Now, that's good. That's their linking with Matthew Ryan at Brighton, who is a lot of other people's sort of pick for low-cost goalkeepers. But again, the extra 10 games, he's going to pick points up for saving. So if he has 3 saves in a game, he'll pick up 10 points across those 10 games. And he actually averages a save every 32 minutes, I think, based on some of his stats. So that's the reason I've gone for him. If he got the full lot, he would have 38 additional points, assuming he didn't lose any for goals conceded, penalties, which would put him on 142. So if he then actually outscores quite a lot of the goalkeepers in the league. So I'm taking a small gamble on that one. And he's going to be my goalkeeper for at least the first sort of 5 to 10 games. Depends when I use the wild card. But yeah, he's a good pick on cost. And the other reason is, as I said, I mentioned Matthew Ryan at Brighton. Now, Brighton are an okay side, but to me, Southampton are a better team. They're going to ease pressure on themselves by going forwards. And I just think they came out of lockdown much better than Brighton. And for me, going into the new season, I'm hoping they pick up where they left off and are pretty solid. So that's the reason that I've gone for Alex McCarthy in goal. Be interested to know anyone's view on that. But for me, if he plays a full season, he at least averages and matches the other 4.5 million goalkeepers. And on a points per million basis, which is kind of what I fell back on for some of my picks, he outperforms even Pope, actually. if he got the 140 points, he outperforms Pope. But again, that's a stretch. But for me, I wanted a cheap goalkeeper, someone who's going to play pretty much every week, and McCarthy's my guy. Defenders. All right. So I've watched some of the videos on YouTube, as I'm sure many people have, trying to get some ideas, different things, ways of looking. So the first one in my squad is Ferguson at Crystal Palace. Nathan Ferguson, new signing, came from West Brom, I believe. Um, if he plays, it's a really low gamble because he's pretty much going to play 30 games in the season. You'd like to think he's been brought in for a reason. Only slight concern at the moment is he's showing as injured with an unknown return date. So we'll see what happens over the next week. But he's my low price defender. 4 million. Probably going to be on the bench. Gives me money to play elsewhere. So the next one across the back is Robertson. Now, I know most people are going for Trent. But if you look over the last 3 seasons, there's actually very little to choose between the two of them. Robertson scored 210 last season, I think. Trent 180. This year it's reversed. And he's 500,000 less. So part of me is really hoping they've got a little rivalry going and Robertson will push on this season and hit the 200 mark. He gives me access to the Liverpool defence. He's going to play something like 30, 34 games in the season. He'll probably score a couple of goals. He'll get a few assists. I'd like to think that Liverpool will be a bit tighter and perform a little better than they did after lockdown. And I've decided to go for him. I could be sat here at the end of the season thinking, oh dear, I wish I'd gone for Trent Alexander-Armstrong. But we'll find out, won't we? But I've decided to go for Robertson because as far as I can really see, there isn't much between the two of them. Next, we've got John Egan, Sheffield United. There are 3 Sheffield United defenders, 5.5 million, very close on points. Now, on a points per million basis, Egan is a better buy. So we've got slightly better expected value compared to Baldock and Stevens. I'm not 100% on him because he's a centre-half. I wanted to avoid centre-halves, try and find some sort of right-backs, left-backs, people who are going to get forward a little, might even play in wing-back positions. But he fits the bill at the moment. My only other concern with that, of course, is I don't know if Sheffield United are going to have something of a second season syndrome. I think they'll be solid. I don't know if they'll be as gung-ho as they were last season and making the points. But at the moment, he's sat there in my side, giving me access to that Sheffield United defence. Next along the lineup, we've got Walker Peters at Southampton. Came in January transfer window, played 10 games for Southampton, I think, scored reasonable points, 1 assist, 2 clean sheets. The move, I'd expect him to be a starter this season. He's actually got good stats over the last 3 seasons. If he manages to add a goal or 2, he'll be an absolute steal. I'd expect, if he has a good season, I'd expect him to get around the 120 mark maybe for points. And I think that Southampton will be gunning for that 10 clean sheets this season, if they can get it. My only concern is having him and McCarthy in the same team. That's 2 Southampton people who are defensive because of the goalkeeper and the defender himself. So I don't know. I'm probably going to keep him. My thoughts at the moment as I may move a goalkeeper, although it'll cost more, to have 2 4.5 goalkeepers so that they'll kind of sub each other out if one doesn't perform very well. We'll see what happens with that one. But Walker Peters, another right right side defender. Should give me a bit of attacking going forward. Southampton are quite an attacking team, so that's why I've decided to go with him. Next up, we have Vinagre at Wolves. Um, Lots of talk. Everyone seems to think he's going to start again. 4.5 for a Wolves defender. So, you know, that's pretty good going. If he starts, brilliant. Might not see out the season with him. Could be one that gets dropped when I play the wild card. But he clocked up good points last season. 3 clean sheets, only 6 goals conceded. Um, 32 points in 644 minutes. Nice. I'm quite content to put him there, see what happens first few games of the season, start making new decisions. 4 to 5 games in, maybe starting to see if one or two need to change, or if we're not happy with what's going on, then we'll shift them. But my money's tended to go elsewhere in my team, so we'll see what happens later on. But that's my defensive lineup for the time being.